Hey Travis kiddos, it's Tuesday. In case you're having a hard time keeping up with the days of the week, I know I am myself. I'm in yet another Lava Man shirt from a different year of the triathlon I do in Hawaii. So keeping my triathlon week going here since I would have been doing it this weekend. So today we're going to go over the phonics skill, the sight words, the story again, the concept, the reading concept for comprehension, and a reading and phonics skill called alliteration, and some vocabulary words. So let's jump on in. So we are working on the or sound this week. Do you remember how to make it? There are 3 ways. Can you think of at least one way? You can make it with OR. How else can you make it? OAR. Or O-R-E. Tomorrow we'll play stand up, sit down and practice those sounds. If you want to play with your family, you know how it works now, so you can go ahead and think of some words and practice that. Our sight words for the week: began, better, guess, learn, write, and sure. Hopefully you're getting those words down. They're a little tricky this week, so keep working on that. So our vocabulary words for the week are idea and unusual. We went over unusual a little bit last week. So unusual means something that is not common or not normal or typical. So in the Your Turn workbook, page 237, they say, what an unusual hat you have. So something that's not common, that not everybody has, that you don't see very often. An idea is a picture you see in your head. So you can think up all kinds of ideas. You guys think of ideas for stories all the time. You think of ideas for games, for pictures to draw. You really use your creativity when you're thinking of an idea. Inventors think of ideas and then put those ideas into practice. They create whatever they've thought of. So they always start with an idea. And they sometimes start with a problem and find steps to solving that problem, and then that idea becomes an invention. So the problem to solution is what we are working on. That's the concept of the week. So you're going to reread the story of a robot inventor in the Reading Writing Workshop book on Launchpad. And after that, you notice there is a problem and solution page. So when you encounter a problem, you have to take steps to solve that problem. That's what the solution is. A solution is the answer to that problem, or how you get around it, or how you fix it, right? So in the story of a robot inventor, Tomotaka Takahashi, he had a problem. His problem, he had a few problems, right? So he wanted to put a robot in a race where it had to swim. And that's a problem because robots are often made with batteries and electrical parts, and those do not mix well with water. You could have an explosion of some kind. It could fizz out. It could ruin the robot. So he had to find a way to solve that problem. So he built a waterproof robot with arms like fins. So waterproof, because then the water won't affect it, and it can swim in the water. And arms like fins are going to make it swim a lot faster. We know fish swim really well with fins. And if we had fins, we would swim faster. Some people wear flippers on their feet to help them swim faster. So that was his idea to help solve his problem. And when his solution is that Takahashi built his robot in a way that it could swim. So he took the steps needed. And sometimes there are a lot of steps to solving a problem. Sometimes there's one step, and often it requires trial and error, seeing if it works, right? But starting with a problem and working your way to a solution. So you can check out that is page 170 to 171 in the Reading Writing Workshop book. And we're going to be doing some work in the next few days on problem and solution in other stories we're reading and in our Your Turn workbook. Speaking of other stories we're reading, you're going to read Good Ideas. It is Your Turn workbook, pages 239 and 240. So you take it out, fold it on the line. Don't peek yet because, as usual, you're doing a 1-minute read. So you're going to start the timer when you start reading the title, Good Ideas, and you're going to read through for a whole minute, same as the previous weeks, the whole 60 seconds you're reading. So maybe you get through the first page, maybe you get through the whole story and keep reading. Wherever you get to, you are going to write that number on page 241 of the Your Turn workbook. So that's your first read. However many errors or issues you had with words, maybe you skipped some, you subtract those and get your correct word score. Now, I have been forgetting to come back to this at the end of the week. We won't forget this week because later in the week, you're going to do another 1-minute timed read and that number should go up of your correct words read. After you do your 1-minute read, you're going to read it all the way through again to make sure you get the whole story, and you don't have a time limit on that, so you have time to really take your time, read it thoroughly, and understand what is happening in this text. All right, one more thing. We're going to work on alliteration. So alliteration, which starts with an A, is when you have a bunch of words close together that have the same starting sound. So, for example, Betty bounces balls in her backyard. You hear B at the beginning of a bunch of those words. Betty bounces balls in her backyard. So you hear the B at the beginning. Another example would be, on Wednesday I walked to Willie's window shop. Okay, you hear the W sound at the beginning of a lot of those words. Or apples are absolutely amazing. Had to tweak that one a little bit because A or amazing isn't exactly the same sound as a for apples and absolutely. So they are not always exactly the same sound. I kind of had to tweak that one. But listening for that sound in many words. You can find a game for practicing alliteration and identifying which alliterative sound is in the beginning of the words on ConnectEd in the game section. Remember, that's the orange icon with the game controller on it. So go ahead, practice alliteration, practice your sounds, practice your sight words, and read the stories. And most importantly, have fun. Happy learning.